Hey everyone! Today we're breaking down the most broken ultimate moves in My Hero Academia. Spoilers for both anime and manga, so be warned. Let's jump right in. Starting at number 10, we've got Fa-Jin, one of Deku's quirks from the previous One for All users. This appears in the manga and is in season 7 of the anime. Fa-Jin allows Deku to store kinetic energy from repeated movements and then release it all at once for explosive power. Think of it like charging up a battery through repetitive motions, then unleashing all that stored energy in a single devastating attack. We saw Deku use this during his fight against Nagant. He combined Fa-Jin with his other quirks to create attacks that were way beyond his normal output. The stored energy gets released as explosive speed and power, letting him blitz opponents who can't keep up with the sudden acceleration. What makes Fa-Jin broken is the multiplier effect. Deku's already incredibly strong with One for All at 45%, but when he adds stored Fa-Jin energy on top of that, his power output becomes insane. He can go from regular combat speed to faster than an eye can see in an instant. The versatility is also crazy. He can store energy during downtime or even during a fight, then unleash it when the moment is right. It's basically giving himself temporary power boosts whenever he needs them. Combined with his other quirks like Danger Sense and Black Whip, Fa-Jin turns Deku into an unpredictable powerhouse. At number 9, we have Prominence Burn, Endeavor's ultimate move. This appears throughout the anime and manga. Prominence Burn is Endeavor concentrating all his flames into a single point and releasing them in a massive explosion of heat. We're talking temperatures that can rival or exceed the sun's surface. The attack is powerful enough to severely damage or outright defeat high-end Nomu, which are specifically engineered to be nearly indestructible. We saw this devastate the high-end Nomu in Season 4. The sheer heat output was enough to overwhelm its regeneration and almost kill it, despite all its quirks and enhancements. When Endeavor uses Prominence Burn, the area around him becomes a literal inferno. What makes this move broken is the raw, destructive power. It's not about strategy or tricks. It's just pure, overwhelming firepower. If you can't handle extreme temperatures or don't have insane durability, you're done. The attack also has decent range, so you can't just back away from it easily. The downside is that it puts massive strain on Endeavor's body and overheats him quickly. But in terms of immediate destructive capability, Prominence Burn is one of the strongest fire-based attacks in the entire series. It's the ultimate nuke everything in this area button. Number 8 is Phosphor, also known as ACL, Shoto Todoroki's ultimate technique from the Final War arc. Phosphor represents Shoto achieving true mastery over both sides of his quirk simultaneously. He superheats his left side to extreme temperatures while flash freezing his right side, creating a devastating combination attack that generates massive amounts of cold fuel, which he then ignites. The result is an explosive release of power that combines the best aspects of both ice and fire. What makes Phosphor different from his other moves is the perfect synchronization. Instead of just using fire while cooling himself with ice, he's weaponizing both elements at once. The cold fuel from his ice side feeds into his flames, making them burn even hotter and more intensely than normal fire attacks. We saw this technique during his final confrontation with Dabi. The sheer output was enough to match and even overpower Dabi's naturally superior flames. Shoto was essentially turning his own body into a living chemical reaction, generating power that exceeded what either side of his quirk could do alone. The broken part is the exponential power increase. It's not just addition, it's multiplication. The ice enhances the fire, and the fire is enhanced by the ice, creating a feedback loop of increasing power. Plus, he can sustain this much longer than other high-output fire users, because he's still regulating his temperature. That combination of raw power and sustainability makes Phosphor incredibly dangerous. At number 7, we have Stars and Stripes weather manipulation through her quirk New Order. New Order lets Kathleen Bate set rules on anything she touches and names, including herself and the environment. One of her most broken applications was manipulating the atmosphere to create a massive air giant that could fight alongside her. She created a construct made entirely of air that was hundreds of meters tall and could physically grapple with Shigaraki. Think about that. She made the air itself into a tangible fighting entity. The giant had enough strength to restrain someone with multiple quirks and near All Might level strength. But it gets crazier. She also used New Order to set rules like the air will not exist in Shigaraki's lungs, essentially trying to suffocate him from the inside. The quirk lets her manipulate reality itself within certain limits, and weather manipulation is just one application. What makes this broken is the creativity and scale. She's not just creating a big attack, she's fundamentally changing how physics works in an area. The air giant alone would body most villains in the series, and that's without getting into the other reality warping applications of New Order. The only reason it's not higher is because the quirk has limitations. She can only set 2 rules at a time, and she needs to touch and name her target. But within those limits, it's essentially localized reality manipulation. Number 6 is Decay, Tamura Shigaraki's ultimate quirk evolution. Decay allows Shigaraki to disintegrate anything he touches with all 5 fingers. But what makes it truly broken is how it evolved. The decay spreads like a wave, disintegrating everything it touches in a massive chain reaction. We're talking about the ability to destroy entire cities in seconds. When Shigaraki awakened his full power during the war arc, we saw decay spread across multiple city blocks instantly. Buildings crumbled to dust, the ground shattered and collapsed, and anything caught in the wave was completely obliterated. The speed of the spread meant that unless you could fly or get airborne immediately, you were dead. What makes decay absolutely terrifying is the scale and speed. It's not just touching someone and they die, it's touching the ground, and everyone within several kilometers dies. The quirk evolved from a close-range assassination tool into a weapon of mass destruction. Shigaraki can essentially delete entire battlefields. The psychological impact is also massive. Imagine fighting someone where a single touch means instant death, and that death spreads to everything around you. You can't hide behind cover, because the cover will disintegrate. You can't stand your ground because the ground itself is being destroyed. Your only option is to stay airborne or keep running. Against ground-based fighters or anyone without extreme mobility, decay is basically an instant win button. Even for those who can avoid it, the constant threat of annihilation forces them to fight completely defensively. Shigaraki essentially turned his quirk into an area denial weapon that can wipe out armies. That's why decay sits at number 6. It's one of the most destructive quirks in the entire series. At number 5, we have Copy, Nato Monoma's quirk taken to its absolute limit. Copy allows Monoma to replicate any quirk he touches for up to 10 minutes. On the surface, this seems like a decent support ability, but when you really think about the applications, it becomes absolutely broken. Monoma can copy multiple quirks and store them, effectively becoming a temporary multi-quirk user like All for One or Deku. The versatility is what makes Copy insane. Need firepower? Copy Endeavor's Hellflame. Need defense? Copy Kirishima's Hardening. Need mobility? Copy someone with a movement quirk. Monoma can adapt to any situation by copying the perfect counter quirk. He's essentially a one-man strategy team. We saw how powerful this could be during the joint training arc and later in the final war. Monoma copied Kurogiri's Warp Gate quirk to provide battlefield transportation for the heroes. He also copied other critical quirks at key moments, making him invaluable despite not being a frontline fighter. But here's where it gets really broken. Monoma can copy quirks from multiple people in quick succession. That means, in a large battle, he can collect an arsenal of abilities and rotate through them tactically. Against most opponents, he can simply copy their quirk and use their own power against them while they're still figuring out what happened. The only limitations are the 10-minute timer and his inability to copy stockpiling quirks like One for All at full power. But even with those restrictions, Copy is one of the most versatile and adaptable quirks in the series. In the right hands with access to powerful quirks to copy, Monoma becomes a Swiss Army knife of destruction. That flexibility and counterplay potential earns Copy the number 5 spot. Number 4 is Infinite 100%, Deku's ultimate form during the overhaul fight. Using Aries' Rewind quirk, Deku was able to use One for All at 100% continuously without destroying his body. Normally, using One for All at full power would shatter his bones and cripple him. But Aries' Rewind was constantly healing the damage as fast as he could cause it. The result was Deku at full power with no limitations. He was moving faster than Overhaul could track, hitting with enough force to smash through massive constructs and literally flying through the air by kicking off debris. The speed and power were so overwhelming that Overhaul, who had been dominating the entire fight, couldn't even touch him. What makes this broken is the infinite part. Most ultimate moves have a time limit or resource cost. This didn't. As long as Aries' quirk was active, Deku could fight at maximum power indefinitely. No stamina drain, no injury accumulation, just pure, unrestrained power. We saw him deliver a 100% Detroit smash that sent shockwaves through the entire area and completely destroyed Overhaul's final form. The environmental damage alone was insane. Buildings crumbling, the ground shattering, and debris flying everywhere. Infinite 100% showed what One for All is truly capable of when all limiters are removed. It's basically the God mode version of Deku. At number 3, we have Gearshift, the second user's quirk that Deku unlocked. Gearshift allows Deku to change the speed of anything he touches, including himself. He can shift up to higher gears for explosive speed or shift down to slow things to a crawl. When applied to himself, it lets him move at speeds that break the sound barrier multiple times over. When Deku combines Gearshift with One for All and Fa Jin, he enters what's called Overdrive. In this state, he's moving so fast that he appears to teleport. We saw this against Shigaraki in the final war arc. Deku was landing dozens of hits before Shigaraki could even react, and this is against someone with multiple speed-enhancing quirks. The broken part is the multiplication effect. One for All already makes him fast. Fa Jin stores energy to boost that further, and Gearshift multiplies all of it exponentially. The result is speed that shouldn't be physically possible. He's moving faster than the eye can see, faster than most people can think, and hitting with proportionally increased force. But it gets even crazier. Deku can also apply Gearshift to his attacks, making his punches accelerate as they travel. So even if you somehow dodge the initial strike, the attack speeds up mid-flight and might still hit you. The versatility is insane too. He can shift down enemies to slow them, shift up projectiles to turn them into hypersonic missiles, or shift himself for mobility and combat speed. Gearshift essentially breaks the normal rules of physics and lets Deku operate in a completely different speed tier than his opponents. At number 2, we have Rewind, Eri's reality-breaking quirk. Rewind allows Eri to reverse a person's body to a previous state. On paper, this sounds like a healing quirk, but the applications are absolutely broken. She can rewind injuries, diseases, quirk effects, and even existence itself. We're talking about the ability to undo almost anything that's happened to a person physically. The most obvious broken application is immortality. As long as Eri is around and her quirk is controlled, she can theoretically keep rewinding someone's injuries and aging indefinitely. We saw this with Deku during the Overhaul fight. She was constantly rewinding the damage from 100% One for All, letting him fight at full power without consequences. But it gets darker. Rewind can also erase people completely. If she rewinds someone too far, they cease to exist, literally unmade from reality. We saw her accidentally do this to her father, and Overhaul tried to weaponize this aspect of her quirk. The ability to erase someone from existence is arguably one of the most terrifying powers in the series. The healing applications alone would make this top tier. Imagine being able to reverse any injury, cure any disease, or undo any quirk-based damage. Heroes would be nearly unkillable with Eri supporting them. Fatal wounds? Rewind them. Poisoned? Rewind it. Lost a limb? Rewind 2 before it was lost. The strategic value is incalculable. Eri could keep an entire army fighting at peak condition indefinitely. She could reverse the effects of aging on retired heroes, bringing them back to their prime. She could undo permanent quirk damage, like what happened to All Might or Aizawa. What makes Rewind the number 2 most broken ability is the combination of healing, enhancement, and erasure all in one package. It's essentially control over time itself applied to living beings. The only reason it's not number 1 is because Eri is still learning to control it, and it requires direct contact. But in terms of pure potential and versatility, Rewind is one of the most overpowered quirks in My Hero Academia. And at number 1, the most broken ultimate move in My Hero Academia, Prime All Might's full power One for All. We never saw Prime All Might go all out on screen, but we know from statements and flashbacks that he was exponentially stronger than the weakened All Might we saw fight All for One. The weakened version could change weather patterns and destroy city blocks. Prime All Might was on a completely different level. He defeated All for One so badly the first time that the villain had to hide for years to recover. He became the symbol of peace through sheer, overwhelming power. Villains were too terrified to even commit crimes because they knew All Might would show up and destroy them. Every ultimate move we've seen from All Might and Deku is a fraction of what Prime All Might could do. United States of Smash from a dying All Might changed the weather. Imagine what a 100% punch from Prime All Might would do, probably level entire city districts. What makes Prime All Might's One for All? The number one most broken ability is the psychological impact combined with raw power. He was so dominant that his mere existence maintained peace. That's not just strength. That's being so overwhelmingly powerful that you've transcended normal combat and become a walking deterrent. One for all at its peak, in the hands of someone who mastered it completely, is the ultimate power in My Hero Academia. Its speed, strength, durability, and endurance all cranked up to levels that border on invincibility. That's why Prime All Might is number one. And there you have it, the most broken ultimate moves in My Hero Academia, ranked from 10 to 1. From explosive fire attacks to reality-bending speed, these moves are absolutely insane. What's your favorite ultimate move? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.